Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on which part of the world you are watching us from. This is Peter Muwe from Giving Hope Counseling Services, where we specialize in the welfare of families. Today, we want to deal with the topic of rejection. In life, we all face rejection at one part of our lives, in our lives. So we want to deal with rejection and talk about how we could cope with rejection. First, we define it. We say that rejection happens when we reach out for acceptance or connection with others, or even seeking an opportunity, but you are met with a no. Everyone encounters rejection at different stages of their life, whether it's not getting a job we had hoped to get, or we get declined by someone we were dating, or just experiencing the end of a friendship we have treasured over the years, or also we are rejected, could be rejected in a romantic relationship. The way rejection is delivered to us or communicated is how we understand it. And how it's delivered plays a big role with how it affects us emotionally. If it's blunt, dismissive, or even sometimes it is blunt, dismissive, or even hurtful. But at other times, it could be expressed kindly and respectfully. When delivered blunt and it's hurtful, it actually triggers deep feelings of disappointment, sadness, and pain. Why is rejection so deeply painful? It can be emotionally very painful because it does not only affect our thoughts and feelings, it actually at times can also show up in our body. Psychological studies have shown that the brain evolved in emotional distress overlaps with that process that gives us physical pain, which means that sometimes with the experience rejection, literally feeling painful in the physical sense. Now, one of the mistakes we make about rejection is we tend to overgeneralize rejection. We may tend to take a single rejection as a sign of overall failure. You have received a rejection in one aspect and you overgeneralize, like you are a general failure in all other things. For instance, if you got rejected for a particular job, you can end up feeling that you are actually overqualified for all jobs. That's a generalization that we should not do. The fact that you have been rejected for one job only means you don't have the particular qualifications for that particular job. But there will be many other jobs where you are properly qualified and you will be taken. Now, this kind of overgeneralization, we call it a cognitive distortion because it makes rejection feel overwhelming and personal than it truly is. If you overgeneralize, you may end up looking at yourself like a failure just because of one particular rejection, while you are good in many other areas. Psychologically, there is something we call rejection sensitive dysphoria. Some individuals, especially those with ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or even those suffering from autism, those are the people who experience rejection sensitive dysphoria. This is a pattern of intense emotional pain triggered by real or actually just perceived rejection. Therefore, people with a background of childhood trauma may also be more vulnerable to rejection, as rejection to them, it tends to reactivate memories of neglect or abuse or mistreatment in the past. But just as people vary in how they experience physical pain, also individuals differ in how deeply they feel their emotional pain. We will now discuss the different types of rejection. Rejection can happen in many contexts and take different forms. And although the rejection can be painful, some experiences will affect you more than others. And also your response depends on how emotionally invested you are or vulnerable, or how vulnerable you are to such a situation. We'll now go into the different types of rejection and also discuss the details of how they affect us. First, we deal with the relationship and dating rejection. Romantic rejections is always the first thing people think about, and it can occur in different stages of our relationships. Now, the examples of rejection in relationships will include when you are rejected by a stranger. That means you have met somebody maybe just once, and you have agreed to meet. You ask them to meet with you or have coffee or dinner with you, but they decline. Now, such kind of rejection normally does not emotionally affect us so much, because these are strangers, somebody who are not known, and you are trying to meet them for the first time. So that the emotional investment in such a relationship is not as much. Then we can also have a rejection after a few dates. That means this is someone who initially showed interest, but later chose to stop communicating. This will definitely hurt slightly more than the other one, because this is someone you had actually known before then. They later decided to decline to continue further with your relationship. The more hurtful kind of emotional rejection is when you are rejected by a long-term partner. So, adding a committed relationship, where you have been committed in a relationship, that one is often one of the most painful forms of rejection. Whether the breakup, whether you expected it, or whether it is sudden, so long as this is a relationship that you have had for a while, then it can be, the effects can be emotionally overwhelming. The second kind of rejection we want to discuss is what we refer to as social rejection, because rejection is not limited to romance only. The social rejection, while not in a romantic, can sometimes be just as painful or even more so. The social types of rejection, the first one is friendship rejection. That means you have had a friend, and suddenly he has decided, after conflict, to cut off your relationship. This can also be hurtful and emotionally hurtful, particularly when such a decline of your friendship is very abrupt. The other social kind of rejection is when you feel yourself excluded from social events. That means you are discovering that your friends or people in your circle are gathered somewhere, but you have been excluded. That can be hurtful when you discover their meetings, your friends are meeting somewhere, but you have been excluded. The other one is the one we said about the people who are mentally affected, rejection of neurodivergent individuals. Those people who are autistic or have mental issues, they will definitely feel rejected by others when they are excluded from gatherings by people who feel that they don't fit into their circles. This, for them, can be both confusing and painful. Then we have the third type of rejection that we call professional rejection. Professional rejection, the first type can be when you are rejected. For instance, you are in school, you have been in school, and you applied to a university, for instance, and you have been declined admission. This can lead to you become doubtful about your intelligence or your abilities. That's a professional rejection. The other one is not getting a job. So you are being turned down for a job that you have decided you had applied for. That is also a rejection that can be emotionally hurtful. The other type of social rejection is just missing out on a promotion. You have worked hard and you expected it to be promoted, but this advancement to the next grade is denied to you. So this can make you feel frustrated, sometimes even angry. Now, when we started, we said rejection is part of life. It's a part of our human being. We'll be rejected at one time or the other. So how do we move past rejection? One, there is no fixed timelines for emotional healing. You can't be some will heal faster than others. And feeling hurt or upset after rejection is normal and valid. It is okay to feel hurt. Now, below we'll outline a few ways, helpful ways that can help you deal with rejection. First, you need to release self-blame. Don't blame yourself. While a mistake will happen, dwelling on blaming yourself will keep you stuck. So don't get stuck on blaming yourself over and over again. Release it. That's one of the other ways of dealing with rejection. Do not continue to keep blaming yourself. The second one is to look for growth. Rejection can at times become an experience from which you learn and improve for the future. So look for growth. Yes, you have been rejected, but so what? You need to move on. Accept the rejection, but look for growth in other areas. You also need to practice self-care. By practicing self-care, we mean that you need to be kind to yourself, and then you use coping strategies that can help you restore your emotional being. You also need to allow yourself to feel. Yes, the rejection has happened. Do not deny it. Allow yourself to feel it. Because when you suppress emotions, they can resurface more intensely later. So you need to acknowledge and process such feelings. The other thing about rejection is that you actually need to recall your achievements. You've been rejected, yes. But in the past, have you not succeeded before? Can you look at your success in the past? So recall all your achievements so that you remind yourself that rejection is situational. It just happens, but it does not erase your past successes. You have been successful before. To meet rejection is part of life. So just allow yourself to remember that you have been successful in the past. Now we also discuss there are other ways you can deal with rejection. One, don't take it too personally, because rejection in one area does not decline your overall worth. So don't take it too personally. Allow it, accept it has happened, and try to move on. The second one is don't try to compare yourself with others. Everybody's journey is different in this life, and comparison will only help to deepen feelings of inadequacy if you compare yourself to others. So please stop comparing yourself with others. Everyone's journey is different. Again, I think we mentioned this, don't minimize your emotions. If you are feeling pain, yes, feeling pain is valid. Rejection leads to you feeling pain, it is valid. Regardless of how others might be feeling, it's okay for you to feel pain. And then accept it and move on. The other one is, please don't give up. Even if you have been rejected in one area of life, giving up is not an option, because rejection does not mean the end of your potential or future success. So we say that rejection is a natural part of life, and everyone experiences it at some point. While it is painful, it is also something you can overcome. Your feelings are valid, and you do continue to pursue connection, continue to pursue goals, and also opportunities. We know it takes courage, but please continue to pursue growth, continue to pursue your goals, and also to pursue other opportunities. By staying vulnerable and persistent, you open yourself to growth and the meaningful possibilities that are ahead. At Giving Hope Counseling Services, our experienced therapists always compassionately guide you through the process of healing from such rejection and help you rebuild your confidence. So whether you have faced rejection in relationships, or you face rejection in friendships, work, or other areas of life in your life, at Giving Hope Counseling Services, we provide a safe and supportive space for you to process your emotions, challenge, and also help you challenge your negative thoughts, and help you to develop healthy coping strategies. With the professional guidance, you can move from the pain of rejection, rediscover your self-worth, and regain the courage to meaningful connections and opportunities again. So anytime you discover you have issues in your life, relationships, marriages, family, remember you don't have to do it alone. At Giving Hope Counseling Services, we'll always be there for you. Reach out to us through our numbers, +254 721 240 462, or +254 733 93 2470, or you can email us at pkuruga@gmail.com. You can also seek to come to us through our social media handles at Facebook as Giving Hope Counseling Services, on YouTube at Giving Hope as Giving Hope Counseling Services, and also on TikTok. We also have our website www.givinghope.co.ke, which has far many more articles on our relationships, marriages, and our families. Karibu.